one and all who've joined with us for today's guest lecture on Incubation Opportunities for Faculty and Students Entrepreneur, organized by the Department of Civil Engineering and the Department of Agriculture Engineering, SRM Engineering College, in association with Institutions Innovation Council, Indian Society for Technical Education Faculty and Students Chapter, Institution of Engineers India Students Chapter, and Industry Institute Partnership Cell. On behalf of the Department of Civil Engineering and Agriculture Engineering, I pay my sole respect to our Honorable Chief Guest, our esteemed Principal, our respected Vice Principal, our beloved Head of the Department, Dr. D. Ilango Sir, and I welcome all our participants, faculty members, and our students for today's session. I now take up this opportunity to give a brief introduction about our speaker, Mr. M. Sriraaman. Mr. M. Sriraaman is a chemical engineering graduate from Annamalai University, and he is currently working as a manager in Annamalai Innovation and Incubation Research Foundation-EDII at Annamalai University. He is also Chief Executive Officer for Pasumai Green Enterprise, a food tech startup established in 2019. He has previous industrial experience in EID Paris Sugar and Distilleries Unit. He has also published a book chapter and more than 100 research papers in the domain of food and environmental biotechnology. He is an active lifetime member of Scientific and Technical Research Association. He has worked in various research projects of Annamalai University, Indian Institute of Technology Guwahati, CSIR Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, and CSIR Northeastern Institute of Science and Technology. He also has experience as a principal investigator in a funded project of Institutions of Engineers India. Sir, we are indeed honored to have you as our speaker for today's session. Thank you for accepting our invitation, sir. I now request Mr. M. Sriraaman to take over the session. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the warm welcome and good evening, students and faculty members present here for the today's session on incubation opportunities for student and faculty entrepreneurs. So let me get into the session. So today we are going to see about the startup ecosystem enablers of our country, services provided by incubation centers, startups availing support from incubation centers, funding schemes facilitated by incubation centers, and finally startup opportunities for civil engineers, as this program is organized by the Department of Civil Engineering of SRM College. So let me start the session with a warm-up. So in my slide, there are two terminologies. One is entrepreneurship and the other thing is startup. So can any one of you unmute yourself and explain these two terminologies? It's just a basic question only.
Sir, my name is Kavin.
Yes.
So basically an entrepreneurship, or it refers to an entrepreneur to a person who has an innovative idea about a product or something, who's the sole person itself, or whatever he does is known as entrepreneurship. So with this idea, what he is able to do is creating a business and making it as a brand is known as a startup with either minimal risk or huge risk involved in it.
Okay, that's good. So entrepreneurship. Entrepreneur is derived from Latin terminology, which means adventurer. So basically, an entrepreneur is a person who has the ability and who takes risk to start his own venture with an innovative idea. And startups are early stage companies selling innovative products or service, and they are dependent only on human potential rather than investment. So you can ask why they are not dependent on investment, but I have answers for those questions in my upcoming slides. So let's discuss further. So first, let's see who are incubation, innovation, and entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem enablers in our country. So our institutions, Ministry of Education is having Institutions Innovation Council. Earlier, it was known as Ministry of Human Resource Development's Innovation Cell. And Entrepreneurship Development and Innovation Institute of Tamil Nadu has established various entrepreneurship hubs and spoke colleges and various institutions. and Rashtriya Uchchata Shiksha Abhiyan. It is also an initiative of the Ministry of Human Resource Development, RUSA 2.0, Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Career Hub. So in many universities, including Annamalai University, Alagappa University, Anna University, we have RUSA 2.0, Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Career Hub. And finally, Department of Science and Technologies, New Gen IEDC Hub, that is Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Center Hub. So here in these institution innovation council or entrepreneurship development cell, they basically create awareness on the scopes and opportunities and career opportunities available for aspiring entrepreneurs. So they are called as pre-incubators, as they are the partner for incubators and promoting entrepreneurship. So after them, we have incubation centers, that is secondary enablers of innovation, incubation, entrepreneurship, and startup ecosystem enablers. So various government bodies such as Atal Innovation Mission, which comes under NITI Aayog, that is Ministry of Planning Commission, they are sponsoring many incubation centers. So nearby Chennai, we have Atal Incubation Center, Anna University Incubator. So and then we have Bairak Bionest in IIT Madras. We have a Bionest, and in Crescent University we have a Bionest. Bairak is an initiative of Department of Biotechnology. So Bairak is basically Biotech Research Industry Research Assistant Council. So as you, many of you here are civil engineering graduates and agriculture engineering graduates. Biotech, that is environmental biotechnology, is close to you. So it is one of your core domain. So this BIRAC is exclusively for bio-based entrepreneurs. So many bionests are established throughout the country, and we have Department of Science and Technologies NSTDB incubators. So National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board incubators. So they are not domain specific; they are focusing on general areas. So many NSTDB incubators are there in our country, and we have EDII, Entrepreneurship Development and Innovation Institute, Tamil Nadu incubators. So Annamalai University Incubation Center is certainly funded by EDI Tamil Nadu, and we have MSME incubators, Micro Small Medium Enterprises Ministry incubators, PMFME incubators, Pradhan Mantri Formalization of Micro Food Enterprises incubators. So many agriculture engineering graduates will be here, I think. So FME, Formalization of Micro Food Enterprises, is an dedicated incubator for food tech based entrepreneurs. So you can avail the support from these incubation centers. So currently, I think this food tech incubators are not active anywhere in our country, but soon they will inaugurate food tech incubators in our country. And ITBA, it's also an upcoming incubator. It's an initiative of Department of Science and Technology, and NIDI accelerators are also upcoming initiative of Department of Science and Technology. Finally, MeitY startup hubs. So MeitY is the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So circuit branch based entrepreneurs can make use of MeitY startup hubs. But I hope only civil and agriculture engineering graduates are here. So first we saw about pre-incubators, that is entrepreneurship development cells or institution innovation council, and then later we saw about incubators. So now let's see the difference between incubator and an accelerator. So incubators are there to support entrepreneurs or startups at their early stage. That means ideation stage. Suppose if you are an individual having an innovative idea, the best place to hit is incubator, because incubator only supports you to convert your idea into a prototype. If you have a prototype ready in your hands and you are in need of marketing your prototype, the best place to hit is accelerators. So they are secondary stage incubators. So now only our government started funding accelerators to NIDI scheme of Department of Science and Technology. Earlier, many private agencies such as Forge had accelerators. So as I told you earlier, incubators are usually funded by various government bodies. So another difference between R&D cell and an incubation cell. So almost 99.9 percentage of institution have R&D cell. So through their R&D cell, they attract Department of Science and Technology or Department of Biotechnology or National Engineering and Science Research Board. So many funding agencies are there. So basically, R&D cell attracts funding for research projects to various government bodies. So incubation center is also more often like the same procedure, but there is a huge difference between an R&D cell and incubation center. Usually in R&D cell, they focus only on publication and profile building, but incubation center is not like that. They focus on commercialization of research ideas. So they focus on patent filing and they focus on business potential of a research idea. So this is the key difference between research cell and an incubation cell. So now we are entering into the tertiary startup innovation incubation ecosystem enablers. So first we saw about primary enablers and we saw about secondary enablers, that is incubators and accelerators, and now we are entering into tertiary startup ecosystem enablers. So in tertiary stage, that is in stage 3, entrepreneurs and startups are promoted by angel investors and venture capitalists. So angel investors are basically a person or a company providing capital for a startup. So why they need to provide capital for a startup? What is the benefit out of it? So they provide capital for a company subject to exchange of ownership equity or convertible debt. So this is the key definition of angel investor. So there is a major difference between angel investor and bank. We should be aware of it. Usually, bank will expect collateral documents or surety documents from you for funding your proposal, that is business proposal. But angel investor will only look at the scope of commercialization of your idea or product. So they don't need any, they often need, but they don't focus much on collateral documents. So this is the key difference between bank and angel investor. And other difference is, as I told earlier, angel investor expect ownership equity. So as they are taking risk, they are expecting ownership equity. But basically, our bank does not want to take risk because most of the bank are coming under government agencies, so they don't want to take risk. For that, they are asking you interest. So this is the definition here. And now let's see about venture capitalist. So venture capitalist is also a person or a company providing capital for a startup. So what is the benefit for providing capital for a startup? Same like angel investors, they also provide capital for startup subject to exchange of ownership equity or convertible debt. So I hope you are clear. So I hope now a doubt should be there in all your minds. That is the difference between angel investor and venture capitalist, because in my slide same definition are there for two different terminologies. For angel investor also I have the same definition, and for venture capitalist also I have the same definition. So there should be a doubt in your minds. Can anyone of you make attempt to answer that doubt?
Angel investor is a person who has like independent as in a investment in a startup.
Okay. Okay.
Comparatively, as a venture capitalist may belong to a firm or a company, right? So
Exactly.
from belong
What
to.
is your name?
My name is Kavin, sir.
Praveen,
Kawin.
hats off
Kavin.
to you, Praveen. Hats off to you, Praveen. Your answer is exactly correct. So I'm very happy about it. So hats off to you. So as Mr. Praveen told that angel investor invest their own hard-earned money. Basically, they are entrepreneurs in their early stage and they used to earn a lot and they invest their hard-earned money in a startup. But these venture capitalists are a group of people, so they depend on pooled funding. So they are basically connecting startups with investors. So, but angel investor are investing their own money and taking their own risk. But these venture capitalists know how to select or scrutinize a startup for funding stage. Usually, investor may not have a clear picture on scrutinizing a startup for funding, but these venture capitalists will help to scrutinize a startup and fund. So, as Mr. Praveen told, his definition is exactly correct. So as Mr. Praveen told, this is the key difference between angel investor and venture capitalist. Hats off to you, Praveen. So now let's see about another two terminologies, that is seed capital and working capital. Usually these seed capital are basically non-recurring funds. I hope is there any PhD scholar in this session?
So we have faculties who are actually pursuing PhD.
Faculties pursuing PhD. I
Yes,
expect
no
full-time
PhD.
PhD scholars. Okay, fine, not an
Yes,
issue.
yes.
So seed capital are basically non-recurring funds that you use to submit for your research proposal, and working capital or nothing but recurring funds, that is consumable funds or like that you are used to submit for your research proposal. So to make it more simple, if you are buying a car, it is seed capital. So you are going to invest in your car for petrol or diesel, so that comes under working capital. So these angel investor will focus both on seed capital investment and working capital investment. And finally, let's see who can get incubation support. So first we saw about pre-incubators, incubators, accelerators, angel investors, and venture capitalists. And now let's going to see about who can avail incubation support from a incubation center like Annamalai Incubation Center. So any individual above 18 with an innovative idea can approach an incubation center for availing assistance for scaling up his idea into a prototype or scaling up his business. So he may be a UG graduate, he may be pursuing PG, he may be pursuing PhD, or he may be pursuing postdoctoral fellowship. So, or he may be in any domain, he may be in agriculture domain or civil domain or even circuit branch. So he may be a full-time faculty. So he may be a full-time working professional. So anyone can approach an incubation center for availing assistance for his startup, but the criteria is he should be above 18 and he should be an Indian citizen for availing incubation support from incubator located in India. So this is the major two criteria. And other than that, you should have an innovative idea. So let's take if you are having a conventional business idea, means we cannot support you, but we can forward your application to DIC office or MSME centers like that, but we cannot provide you official supports. But in case if you are having a science and technology based innovative idea, we can surely support it. And one criteria is that if you are a full-time working professional or a full-time faculty, you should have an NOC from your employer. In case if you are in faculty and interest to pursue a startup as a career, you should be permitted by your principal or management to pursue a startup. Like that, if you are a full-time working professional, you should receive a no objection certificate from your manager or a chief executive officer. So let's see about the supports provided by incubators and startup ecosystem enablers. So let's see one by one. First, we will start with company registration. So let's take if an individual is coming into an incubation center with an innovative idea, the first step we will initiate is company registration. Because in India, you cannot avail funding assistance, or you cannot utilize the central government or state government opportunities for your startup unless and otherwise you are a registered entity or a incorporated firm under Register of Companies Act. For example, you should be registered under Register of Companies Act as a partnership firm or a private limited firm or a LLP firm. These three categories are usually preferable. So sole proprietorship firm and OPC private limited firm are not usually advised by incubation centers. So in case if you are pursuing conventional business, you may go for that. But if you are pursuing your startup as your career, you should choose only these three options to avail central government opportunities and central government funding schemes. So if you are coming into an incubation center with an innovative idea, we will initiate company registration process at first. In case if you want to utilize state government opportunities and state government funding schemes, you can register your company under Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Udyog Aadhar portal. Now it is renamed as Udyam portal. So it is basically a simple process. You can do it with yourself, and there is no registration or government fee charged for that. But in case if you want to target central government schemes or opportunities, you should be registered under Register of Companies Act. For that, you need a chartered accountant, and you need to pay a government fee of 4,500, around 4,500, an average for LLP or private limited or partnership company. So other than that, you are also supposed to pay chartered accountant professional charges. So if you don't have that much capital initially, you may go for state government schemes using MSME Udyam Aadhaar portal. So company registration is the first step that every incubator initiates. So this is one of the support provided by Incubation Center. And next, Startup India registration. So if you are registered under Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises as a Udyami, that is under Udyoga that portal, you cannot register under Startup India, because Startup India registration eligibility requires certificate of incorporation of company. So it is only provided by Register of Companies Act. So only private limited firm or LLP or partnership firm can get recognized by Startup India as a startup. So a regulatory body known as Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade is there. They used to certify companies as startups. So how they categorize startups? Basically, they say the revenue. So in case if your company's revenue is less than 20 lakh per annum, or your turnover is less than 20 lakh per annum, they will consider you a startup. And second consideration is your company should be working under an innovative idea. And some other considerations, or like I told earlier, your company should be an LLP or private limited or partnership firm. So based on these evaluation criteria, they will give you Startup India recognition certificate. So when you get Startup India recognition certificate, it will be very much helpful for you to hit central government schemes very easily, and also state government schemes very easily. So in some schemes, it's mandatory to hold a Startup India recognition certificate. So let's see one by one later. So it is one of the other support facilitated by incubation centers and startup ecosystem enablers. And then intellectual property rights. So I feel it's better to extract answer from you guys for regarding this question. So what is intellectual property rights? Is anyone aware of it? I want answers, especially from students. Faculty know the answer absolutely, but I expect answer from the student side. What is IPR? Come on, students. Now, even in Hollywood films, they used to create awareness on this IPR. Even a guy from a rural background knows where is what is IPR. Okay, fine, no issues. I will explain. So, property rights. So, if you are having a physical property like land or car, you can own rights for that property. But intellectual property is dealing with ideas. So how can you secure your ideas from copycats or your competitors? So you can register your intellectual property rights for your ideas. So yeah, that means you can file patents or copyrights or trademarks or design trademarks for your ideas. So this is I have to handle a dedicated session on IPR. So this is a big ocean. So as the time is short, I will skip to the next slide. So basically, incubation centers and startup ecosystem enablers will help startups to register trademarks or copyrights or patents or design patents. And then startup kit. So startup kit is basically a welcome kit. In my first slide, I have put one definition, that is startups or early stage companies that are dependent on human potential rather than investment. So in startup in early stage, they cannot invest much amount, so that they will be dependent on automation process. They will not hire employees at their initial stage. So in their initial stage, they used to have various automation softwares for carrying out their day-to-day activities. So most of the software will be paid. Premium versions of the software will be paid. So we, Annamalai Innovation Incubation Center, in association with Bank of Baroda, is issuing startup kit vouchers around worth around 1 lakh. So in this voucher, you have in this voucher package, you have Amazon Web Service credits, you have Microsoft credits, you have IBM credits, so you have Vakil Search credits, you have various software platform credits. So you can use it for up to a period of 1 year at free of cost. Basically, the voucher package is worth about 1 lakh. So we, Annamalai Innovation and Incubation Center, Periyar University Business Incubation Confederation, and many incubation centers are providing these vouchers in association with Bank of Baroda. So other than that, intern support. So as many students are attending here, I hope it will not be the right topic for you guys. But anyway, for faculty entrepreneurs, this will be useful. So faculty entrepreneurs or full-time working professional come entrepreneurs cannot physically present in incubation centers and carry out their prototyping or research activities, so that they have an option to hire interns from the educational institutions associated with incubators for carrying out their research projects. For example, if any of your faculty present in this session is interested in availing incubation center from Annamalai University Incubation Center, means you can hire the student interns of Annamalai University to carry out your project, so that you can coordinate virtually from Chennai to Chidambaram. So you no need to present physically in this current digital era. So you can use this internship support from incubators and mentorship. So it is vice versa of internship. So if any of your student, let's see, if a civil engineering students need support from a circuit branch, means we can connect that civil engineering student with an expert, academic expert or industrial expert in circuit branch. Let's say an electrical or electronics engineering expert. So likewise, we can connect mentors for your requirement. So this slide is exclusively for faculty entrepreneurs present in this session. So here is a link, bit.ly mentor registration. So please take a snapshot of it. So as academicians, you can register with Annamalai University Incubation Center as faculty mentor at free of cost. And whenever there is a requirement for startup, we are ready to connect you guys based on your area of expertise with startups. So it's exclusively for free of cost. And basically, on mentoring a startup, you are supporting the startup for commercialization of their idea, so that your hedge index will be automatically boosted, and there is good career opportunity for faculty entrepreneurs. So other than that, tech support basically means prototype development, prototype testing, and prototype validation support. So in case if you have already developed prototype before entering into an incubation center, you need to market that prototype, right? For that, you need some certification from a reputed incubator, so that you can validate your prototype or test your prototype in an incubation center facility, and you can get a validation certificate from that incubation center brand name, so that you can easily approach your target audience and you easily market your products. Likewise, if you are in ideation stage, you need prototyping support for validation. Let's take you need some 3D printers, you may need some 3D printers, you may need some electronic workstation, you may need some mechanical workstation, you may need simulation workbench. So you can use these things available at incubation center at nominal cost. So you no need to purchase your own 3D printer or own simulation workbench. So you can basically hire and use those facilities of incubation center. So facilitation for innovation contests. So government and various private bodies are organizing various innovation contests often. So recently Toycathon was organized, Smart India Hackathon, and Tamil Nadu State Council for Science and Technology is used to organize student project scheme yearly. So many innovation contests and innovation funding schemes are there. So we incubation centers and startup ecosystem enablers used to facilitate startups or student startups for applying for these schemes. And marketing guidance. So marketing guidance is categorized into market feasibility studies and marketing guidance. So basically, Before building your product, you need to carry out market feasibility studies. That is examining whether if your product is fit for market or not. And after prototyping or after building your product, you need marketing guidance, right? So we incubators support in both sides. Product showcase. So many expos are used to take place in and around Chennai. So we incubation centers used to facilitate startups for hiring shops there, stall there. Investor connect. By organizing various cohort with investors, angel investors or venture capitalists, we incubation centers can support capital to raise investment. So in my first slide itself, I have mentioned that startup are dependent on human potential than investment. So that if you have good administration capability and if you have good idea, we can usually connect you with an investor. So investment is not a matter nowadays. You have a lot of opportunity from private angel investor, venture capitalists, and also from government bodies. So let's see briefly in my upcoming slides. So this is the cohort model we follow for connecting startups with investors. So far we have organized 3 cohorts. So please stay tuned in our LinkedIn and Instagram pages for updates regarding upcoming cohorts. So let's have a quick overview on some of the startups incubated at our Annamalai University Incubation Center to have a clear picture on what startup is. So first we will start with FibTech Enterprises. So they are basically a manufacturing firm. So they manufacture 5 FRP based plastic. They entered into ARF for developing a composite material that lowers cost but not performance. That is titanium FRP based composite material. In industries, especially in chemical industries, highly corrosive chemical handling tanks are used to made of titanium. So as we all know that titanium is a highly expensive metal. It's very difficult for MSME industries to procure titanium based pipelines and titanium based reactors. So they are developing a technology for initial stage startups or MSME industries. So usually we need around 12 thickness of titanium for corrosion resistant reactors, but they are reducing that thickness by developing a new composite material with 1 of titanium and 40 of fiber reinforced plastic. So they are basically connecting these two material and building an innovative prototype. And BP-Man Savvy Learning Solutions. So they are developing isolation face mask for health professionals. So it will be really helpful for health professionals like doctors and nurses during this COVID-19 situation. So this mask is inspired from our fish tank oxygen supplying pump model. So as we see in this image, there will be a closed partition in this mask, and behind our head the fish tank pump will be there. So it will be pumping pure oxygen into this closed site, so that there will be a good ventilation inside the mask. Indro Labs, they are developing customer interaction logo basically for restaurants and lodges and other educational institutions, receptions, etc. So they are basically interactive with customers. So they used to take orders from customers in restaurants. They used to welcome guests in lodges. They used to welcome in receptions of various institutions, and they are basically developed for the purpose of human interaction. And then we have Drona EdTech Private Limited. They are basically working on EdTech domain, education technology domain. So they are developing an innovative platform for creating a customized learning experience for students. And then we have drone systems. So they are developing fixed wing long range drones for inspecting any damage in electrical lines or plumbing lines in our country. So TNEB and other state electricity board lines used to repair often. So they are developing a drone for monitoring as well as finding out the fault in these electrical lines. And then we have Asimo Global Technologies. They are working on agri-tech domain. So many agriculture graduates will be here, I think. So they are developing pesticide sprayer drone. Already in market we have pesticide sprayer drone, but its weight is huge. They are basically developing a micro pesticide sprayer drone. So basically their weight will be very much less when compared with existing pesticide sprayer drone. And we have Infinite Engineers, also known as Infinitum Learning Private Limited. So Infinite Engineers is their trademark. So they are also developing e-learning, and they are also developing educational learning kits for students, school students. So through Atal Innovation Mission and Atal Tinkering Labs, they are marketing their innovative educational learning kit. And then we have Inviti. They are working on safety sector. So not only safety, they are also working on AR VR integrated with safety sector. So they are basically providing safety training using augmented reality techniques. So for let's take an example. If any of the place gets fire, they are basically creating a simulation. They are creating a virtual simulation inside a AR VR box, and then with that simulation they are teaching how to escape from fire, and they are teaching firefighting techniques. And then we have biofocused scientific solutions. So civil engineering students, one of the major domain in civil engineering is environmental biotechnology. So this company is working on that domain. They are basically providing nutraceuticals, pesticides, and then fertilizer and other value-added products from seaweed. So they are also located nearby us. And Mr. Chef, this is one of the student startup. They have also cracked Tamil Nadu Student Innovators Grant worth about 1 lakh for their prototype. So they are basically developing automatic sambar making machine to basically for maintaining regulatory measures in chain restaurants. So they actually it is one of the woman-led startup. Biofocus is also one of the woman-led startup, and the founder of Mr. Chef is basically a 2020 passed out graduate. During her final year itself, she started developing this prototype, and she also received a TNSA grant worth about 1 lakh for her startup, as I said earlier. So now we are entering into the final part of the session. So funding schemes facilitated by incubators and startup ecosystem enablers. So first we saw about pre-incubators, and then incubators, accelerators, angel investors, venture capitalists, and then we saw about support schemes provided by incubators, and finally we saw about startups incubated at our incubation center. So is there any doubt till that? So shall I enter into the next part of the session? Okay, fine. I will proceed into the next part of the session. So basically, we are categorizing funding schemes into 3 stages, that is seed fund, grant, and fellowships. So seed fund are nothing but soft loan. So you may heard of loan, but soft loan is basically between loan and a grant. So you need to pay a nominal interest rate for soft loan, unlike under bank loans. So these soft loan, another advantage of availing soft loan is soft loan will only focus on your idea and not on collateral documents like bank. So seed fund is that's all, and we have grant. Grant are nothing but non-repayable funds. You no need to repay the fund. We are talking about interest rate, but I am saying you don't need to repay the entire grant amount. So that is why we call it as grant. And finally, fellowship. Fellowship is basically it's like a stipend and say graduate come entrepreneurs. So let's see one by one what are the opportunities under seed fund category, grant category, and fellowship category. So first we will start with government seed fund. As I told you earlier, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Rashtriya Uchata Shiksha Abhiyan 2.0, that is RUSAS 2.0, is providing seed fund for entrepreneurs. So basically, this fund is to be repaid, and it is not a domain specific fund. So Anna University, Annamalai University. So near Chennai, Anna University is there. RUSA EIC, Entrepreneurship Innovation Career Hub is there. So through that you can generate grant up to 10 lakh. Sorry, seed fund up to 10 lakh. And then we have Department of Science and Technologies NIDHI Triple S scheme, seed support scheme that is. So through this scheme you can generate up to 50 lakh per innovative idea or startup. But this grant is this fund is to be repaid. And then we have BIRAC seed. Seed stands for Sustainable Entrepreneurship and Enterprise Development Fund. Actually, BIRAC only focus on bio-based and bio-allied field-based entrepreneurs. Bio-allied means agri-tech, and civil engineering is also in the environmental biotechnology domain. You can explore the opportunities in BIRAC scheme. So it's exclusively a scheme for biotech-based entrepreneurs. So this seed scheme is up to, you can generate seed fund up to 30 lakh, but you have to repay that with a nominal interest rate. So here are the grant. You can see in my slide, only there are very few, that is only there are 3 seed fund scheme, but there are more than 10 grant schemes. So that is the fact, guys. Government is providing more number of grant than seed fund. So the thing is, entrepreneurs cannot make use of it as they are not aware of it. So that's why we are here. That's why your institution IAC is there. That's why we are working in Annamalai University Incubation Center. That is the purpose. So please understand the purpose of these incubation ecosystem and make use of it. So let's see one by one grant further. And I will do one thing. After my session, I will share the slides with your professor. So you may also, it will be very useful to you, for you guys in future, for pursuing entrepreneurship as a career. So first of all, I will like to start with Tamil Nadu State Council for Science and Technology. It is coming under Directorate of Technical Education. They are providing innovation and product development grant. So this year only they have introduced this scheme, and through this scheme you can generate 50,000 per 50,000 to 1 lakh per idea. So you don't need to register a company for availing this grant. You can be an individual or you can be an even student. If you are a student, you have to apply through your institution, that is through your principal. He or she have to forward the application to TNSEST. If you are individual, you can submit application on your own. So faculty members can act as guide for student proposals, or else you can submit individual proposals also, but you have to avail NOC from your management. So the duration of this project is 1 year, and this project mainly focus on science and technology based areas. So if your idea is not involved with science and technology, they will not consider your application basically. So this year only they have announced this scheme. I hope everyone is aware of Tamil Nadu State Council for Science and Technology student project scheme. It's up to 10,000. I think around for the past 10 years they are providing the scheme. It is one of the success model. So other than that, now the government has also entered into the startup ecosystem. They are providing startup grant, that is innovation and product development grant. So please make use of it. And we have Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana's RKVY state scheme. So through this scheme, you can generate up to 25 lakhs per startup. It's an exclusively grant for startup, so you don't need to pay that entire 25 lakh amount. But the one thing is, you should have run your business for at least minimum of 2 years, and other than that, your business should be closely associated with agri and agri allied sectors. Many agri graduates are here, so please make a note of it. And the other scheme, AOP, is also for agriculture engineering and agricultural science graduates. It is also funded by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare under Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana. It's basically National Agriculture Development Scheme. So through this scheme, they are providing AOP funds, that is Agripreneurship Orientation Program. So through this scheme, you can generate 5 lakh per startup. Sorry, in my slide, actually, it's wrong. It's not 25 lakh, it's actually 5 lakh only. So sorry, please excuse me. So you can generate 5 lakh per startup or 5 lakh per idea. So, but the thing is, you should hold graduation. So after graduation, you can try for this scheme. And then we have Entrepreneurship Development Innovation Institutes, Tamil Nadu. innovation voucher program. So innovation voucher program is categorized into two, that is A voucher and B voucher. In A voucher, you can avail grant for R&D stage, and B voucher you can avail grant for commercialization stage. So as we are funded by EDII, we have a good rapport with the EDII, and we can certainly support you guys for applying for these schemes. And then we have EDITN's Tamil Nadu Student Innovator Schemes. So it is not an year-round application. So now only TNSA 2020 was over, and within a month TNSA 2021 awareness camp will be organized by EDITN. So through this scheme, if you are a student, finally a student, and then we have EDITN stands it. Just now the scheme was closed. Second call for the scheme was closed, and Annamalai University Incubation Center was selected as one of the outreach partner for this scheme. So now the scheme is under Startup TN. So Startup TN and EDITN separated. So TANSEED stands for Tamil Nadu State Fund. So through this scheme, you can generate 10 lakh per startup. You don't need to be domain specific. Any domain can apply for this scheme. And then we have EDITN's S2G sandbox. So through this scheme, we can generate 50,000 to 5 lakh per startup. Another added advantage of this scheme is that along with funding, government will also network you guys with government agencies. So they will also procure your startup goods or startup service. So we have Department of Science and Technologies Nidhi Prayas scheme. So we saw earlier triple scheme, seed support scheme. So the same body, National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development, is funding this scheme also. So Prayas stands for Promoting and Accelerating Young and Aspiring Technology Entrepreneurs. So through this scheme, you can generate 10 lakh per startup. The duration of this project is around 1 year. So near Chennai, we have IIITDM Kanjipuram. So they are hosting this scheme. VATTBI, they are hosting this scheme. So the thing is that you have to get incubated there for a period of 1 year as a physical incubatee. Then only you can make use of this scheme. And then we have MEITI 2.0 grant. So PSG Step Coimbatore is also having this grant. So through this scheme, they are providing 5 lakh per startup. But the thing is that you should work only on electronics and information technologies domain, as this scheme is funded by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So TIDE stands for Technology Incubation and Development of Entrepreneurs. As you guys are belong to Civil and Agri Department, I will skip this slide. Startup India Prism. So through this scheme, MSME can avail 20 lakh for their venture. So Prism stands for promoting innovation in individual startups and MSMEs. So the duration is 1 year, and any domain can apply for this scheme. BIRAC. So whenever BIRAC comes, please make a note that BIRAC is only for biotech-based entrepreneurs. BIRAC is offering big scheme. So through this scheme, you can generate 50 lakh per startup, but you should hold some track record of your startup. So at least you should have run your startup for a minimum period of 3 years for availing this scheme. So agriculture graduates and civil engineering graduates with a passion on environmental biotechnology can make use of this scheme after their graduation. And then we have MSME's design scheme grant. So if you want to establish a micro manufacturing industry, you need to have a plant designer. For that plant design purpose, you can avail 40 lakh per industry under this scheme. So these are some new schemes. BIRAC Leap. So launching entrepreneurship driven affordable product is the full form of that scheme. Through this scheme, you can generate a capital of 1 crore. So this is the highest funded scheme I have ever heard. So other than that, we have Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. This scheme is currently active in 2 centers of Tamil Nadu. I think in Crescent Innovation and Incubation Center, and then in Coimbatore Institute of Technology. I think, I'm not sure of it. So through this scheme, you can generate 20 lakh per startup as a grant, and 50 lakh per startup as a seed fund. So we are entering into the next part of the session, that is fellowship. So various bodies such as Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and IIT Kharagpur are providing fellowship for students, fellowship for graduates who are willing to pursue entrepreneurship as their career. So I hope all should have heard about fellowship for PhD scholars, but now government also started providing fellowship for graduate come entrepreneurs also. So let's see one by one. Department of Science and Technology is providing 3.6 lakh per annum as a fellowship for an graduate who wish to pursue entrepreneurship as his or her career. So around 30,000 per month. This scheme will be supported for a period of 1 year. So around 30,000 will per month will be paid for you as fellowship. So nowadays engineering graduates are not even getting this amount as a salary, but government is providing this thing as fellowship. So please make a note of it. Sorry friends, my slide is stuck somewhere. I cannot change. Sorry, please give me a few minutes. So my slide is visible?
Yes, sir. It is
Okay, fine.
visible.
Thank you for the confirmation. So BIRAC's part. So civil graduates with a passion on environmental biotechnology and agri graduates working closely towards agriculture biotechnology can make use of the scheme. Just now, our incubation center hosted a session on how to crack BIRAC Sparsh. So Sparsh is exclusively for social entrepreneurs. So you should be an entrepreneur and also you should have consciousness about your society. So if your product or your venture is providing some sustainable development for the society, you can definitely make use of this scheme. Through this scheme, 50,000 per month will be provided to you as fellowship for a period of 18 months, nearly 1.5 years. So it is one of the biggest fellowship scheme of India. So just now we have hosted a session on BIRAC Sparsh tracking methodology. So the deadline for submission of application of BIRAC Sparsh is September 30th. So before that, if you are interested, you may submit application. And one thing is that you should be a graduate for applying this scheme. So maybe in next year, if you are a final year student, maybe in next year you can make use of this scheme. And then we have MEITI. So MEITI is exclusively for circuit branch based entrepreneurs. So they are also providing 30 to 36,000 per month as fellowship for circuit branch based entrepreneurs through TIDE initiative. And then we have IAIN fellowship of IIT Kanpur. So IAIN, it's alumni network of IIT Kanpur. So they are providing 50,000 per month as a fellowship for a period of 1 year. So it's exclusively for agri-tech based entrepreneurs. So as agri students are here, they can make use of that in future. So finally, with this, I will end up my session. So what are the scopes for startups in the domain of civil engineering? Sorry, I don't have prepared slides for agri-tech graduates, but I can say scopes for agri-tech graduates orally. I don't have slides. So civil engineering graduates have scopes in these 5 major areas. So please take a screenshot of this slide. I will also share my slides through your professor after the session through Dr. Tarini. So you can explore in GFRG panel area. So FDM, fused deposition modeling, 3D printed house. You can explore in environmental biotechnology. You can explore opportunities available in construction material technology. So nowadays, construction material technology is also one of the booming sector. And you guys will be studying about hydrology and water resource management. So you have a good scope for pursuing entrepreneurship in water technology domain also. So there are many opportunities. These 5 areas are booming sectors for you guys. And then for agri-tech graduates, you can work on organic fertilizer come organic pesticide production technology. You can work on agri technology, that is agriculture farm equipment development and bringing innovation in farm equipments. You can work on food technology. So I think you guys should have crossed across mass transfer paper. So you can carry out various technologies on extraction or like that. You can work on food technology. You can also work on horticulture. So I hope you guys are agriculture engineering graduates. You may not be aware on horticulture, but there is a good scope for horticulture. So horticulture is basically the smaller version of agriculture. So these are the areas for you guys to explore. So with this, I will end up my session. So you may make a note of my mobile number and email ID. So if you have any queries, you may approach me after the session. And also ideas from young minds are invited. So if you are having an innovative idea and you don't know how to avail support from these funding schemes and government make use of government opportunities, you are always welcome to approach incubation centers. You are
Sure,
also
sir.
available.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving a very valuable presentation, sir. I think our students have get lot of knowledge for this. Thank you, Sriram sir, for giving a very valuable presentation, sir.
First of all, thank you, ma'am. Thank you to you and your management for giving me this great opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
You can also approach me after this session, and you can also use chatbots. Even queries in Tamil are also welcome. You can answer your queries in Tamil. I will answer in Tamil.
Sriram sir. So this is Dharni sir, and actually, thank you so much for all the information that you actually shared with our students and faculties. It was like it was beneficial for both faculties and students. Actually, there is a set of students who in the second year civil who are actually having an idea to put forward.
Okay,
Maybe
fine.
I'll link them with you, sir, so that
Sure, ma'am.
you can share your like guidance to them. I'll
Sure, ma'am.
get it
Sure,
done
ma'am.
in next week, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yes,
No
thank you
issues,
so
sir.
much, sir.
Actually, we
So,
planned the students. We plan to organize this session in offline, but
Yes,
due to some constraints, we couldn't. But I
yes,
hope soon let's meet
sure, sir.
in an offline session. So
Sure.
hats off to the organizers for this event.
thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Once again, I was like to thank you because today what you have said, so lot of things even we learned. So this much of schemes are there and this much of funding agencies are there for both students and faculty. I feel
Yes, ma'am.
very lucky, sir, and I think it's a little bit knowledge I have gained from your presentation. So students, feedback link is
Okay, ma'am.
posted in the chat box. Please, everyone fill the feedback. Okay. So I like to wind up the session. I like to thank our principal, Dr. B. Chidambararajan, and our vice principal, Dr. B. Murugan sir, for their support for making this lecture a great success. My heartful thank to our head of the department, Dr. D. Ilango sir, for his guidance and encouragement in all our efforts. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to thank all the faculty members and students for their cooperation for making this lecture a great success. Thank you, students and faculty members. And last but not least, I want to thank our today's guest, Mr. M. Sriraaman sir, for he have given a very interesting and useful and informative lecture today. Despite of his busy schedule, he has founded the time to grace this occasion. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Sriraman, sir. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you, ma'am.
coming.
Tarini, ma'am, I will
Yes,
share
sir.
the slides with you. So
Sure,
please
sure,
circulate.
sir. Sure, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
Sure, I'll do it, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.